interesting to see that you've now been involved with two fighters in the sense that they are the massive underdog and then they are able to pull up with something formidable, right? Jason Quigley comes to mind with Edgar Berlanga, and now we have Lamont Roach. So what is your relationship with Lamont?
With Lamont, well, known him since his pro debut back when we were both at Golden Boy. We always had a good bond, especially with his father and his team. And it's once he moved on promotionally, became a free agent. We contacted each other, and it was a no-brainer. I mean, this is a kid that I've seen the talent's there, the discipline's there, the dedication's there, and it was just having that opportunity. He became a world champion in his second attempt. And then comes this huge opportunity for him to go into a new division and try to become a two-division world champion. And obviously, I'm very proud of him. It didn't come out exactly how we wanted. Obviously, today he's not officially a world champion in the lightweight division, but I think amongst the world, everybody that saw, they know who the real champion is. And sometimes that's what you want. It's for the fans, and you know what? You get the respect from the fans, the love from the fans, and as long as even though it's not official, it's unofficial, and that's consolation prize.
Yeah, that's a great point. And he was a minus. Well, the betting odds were ranging from minus 1,600 or all the way to 1,100, and I think that was just so flagrant given that his pedigree, given that he had been a Golden Boy, and he's a champ. And no one ever really knows what happens to a fighter's body. A lot of times it could be favorable if they move up in weight. So that was something that I had in mind. And what did you think with the possibility of him, becoming a two-division champ, but also just the fact that there is a weight issue? What was your thinking behind that, or what was his team's thinking behind it?
Well, a lot was said about him being the smaller guy, and here's Tank fighting another guy from the 130 pounds. But I kept telling everybody, it's like, look, Tank's not a big lightweight. If you look at his fight with Martin, he weighed in at 133. Lamont's weighed higher than 135. So I said, wait till you see them. I really felt that Lamont was the bigger guy. And even at the press conference a couple months before to announce the fight, he looked like the bigger guy. And sometimes that weight also, that not having to cut that weight, you see the strength. And I think we saw that last Saturday night. I think we saw that the weight was welcomed by Lamont's body. He could still make 130. He's the world champion there. However, I think we all saw how physically good he looked. He hurt Tank 2 or 3 times. He was never hurt. So I think that weight was, his body said, welcome.
Do we concur that possibly he was hurt on the 5th Tank, at least from Lamont's side? Like, there was one time where he got him with a nice left hook. I forget exactly which round, but there was you could just tell he was stunned. He was losing his balance. And yeah, I concur with that. Like, his weight was, he just looked like the bigger man, not flagrantly so, but certainly the weight wasn't a factor against him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, he buckled him. I think it was in the 5th or 6th. There was a moment, I think, where you could see the frustration. In fact, we think that Tank tried to bite in one moment, and that's just a sign of frustration. Things weren't going, and he knew. I said it too before the fight. I don't want to say like, oh, I knew it, and no, because it's so easy to say I knew it today. But I said it before the fight that I respect the Tank as one of the top fighters in boxing. To do not change it, and keep the same energy. I'm saying the media, the fans. He's still a top pound for pound. Don't blame anything outside. If Lamont wins and everything, don't blame it on a bad night for Tank, but give credit to him. And one of the reasons I said it was like, look, he's not only coming in with one of the best trainers in boxing, he's coming in with 2, because he knows he's coming in with full gun, because he knew, even though the rest of the world didn't really know who Lamont was, and I think that's where we were discrediting, but Tank knew, and to us, that was the most important thing, that he knew what he had in front of him.
They have a history together as far as the amateurs are concerned, right?
Yeah, they fought a couple times in the amateurs as young men, and they know each other from the gyms. They're obviously very close area where they come from, and they've had some sparring. So that's what gave me one, the confidence with Lamont, because ever since we discussed the fight, he said, I want Tank. There was other options, and he said, I want Tank. And if you notice, Tank was very respectful during the promotion. He wasn't his usual self. People tend to see, oh, because he was considering retirement. He knew what he had in front of him. He knew it was a real rivalry. He knew that Lamont is a good fighter and a tough fight that he had. I mean, a couple of the other fighters that know both of them had mentioned it. Shakur, Alante Fox, people that know them had their opinions, and it wasn't like the odd makers that, like you said, 16-1, 25-1. I saw as much as 25-1.
25, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's insane. And I think Shakur was probably the most high profile person, at least in the boxing universe, to give Lamont his praises before the fight. And then afterwards, everyone's a scholar in the sport. I simply reserve judgment because weight is a real thing. And just, I remember that phase in time that where he was in Golden Boy, totally different, not totally different styles, you could say. And so someone like that is very versatile. So you never know what you're going to get come fight night.
One
But
of the things with Lamont coming up that also played a big factor in this fight is he fought a lot of different styles. He fought a lot of tough fights. That's why he didn't have those knockouts. If he would have fought softer opposition, then he has the knockouts. And then people say, hey, well, he has power too. But because he fought very durable opponents, and that's what gave him all this experience and got him ready to a point like this, he didn't have the knockouts. I'll give you a good example. Rene Alvarado from Nicaragua,
yeah,
former world champion, tough opponent for anybody he steps in the ring. In fact, there was a lot of his losses that if you look back, you could have given to Rene Alvarado. However, Lamont completely shut him out in his own game, inside the pocket. So we knew going in, because of his determination, because of his belief, because of his talent, because of how he's brought up, that this was perfect timing. And the only thing I was telling the fans is, because we're so easy in boxing to knock it before we try it. If they serve you something to eat, oh, I don't like that. Have you ever tried it? No. Then try it first before you knock it. And I think in boxing, we're so quick to jump. Oh, this fight's horrible. This fight. And I was saying it before. Look, if the fight does not deliver, kill it after and criticize it, rightfully so. But this fight's going to deliver. It's going to be a war. And if you see my post before the fight, it shocked the world and you. And it wasn't promoting. I'm not the promoter anymore. It's just we felt that, hey, we're going to shock the world. And I think in a sense we did. People now respect him. He got a lot of fans. I'm very happy for him. I'm very proud of him. And I can't wait, man. I can't wait if we can do it again.
well, here's the thing. Allegedly, right? Because I don't have a contract. These aren't publicly verifiable documents, right? But allegedly, there's a rematch clause, whether it's a win or a draw, in favor of of Lamont. So in this instance, contractually, I'm led to believe that Lamont is supposed to be Tank's next opponent. But in the press conference, Tank mentioned that this was a bit more iffy. He was a bit more nebulous about what would happen potentially. So what do you think will happen?
I think we're gonna see it again. I think the fans are gonna demand it. I think now they're
Yeah.
gonna be excited about it. I think the media should push for it. I think Tank is not happy with the outcome and the decision, and is again one of the pound for pound, one of the best fighters in boxing. He's gonna want to try to make it right, and it'll give him a new focus, a new motivation. And on our side, Lamont, hey, that's the best way to fix it, is in the ring, and he wants to make it right. Run it back and take what's his, what was taken
Now,
from him.
historically, it's not, you know, um, it's not outrageous for the New York State Athletic Commission to overrule a controversial fight result given facts after the issue. So in the case of Garcia and Haney, an anomalous Test result resulted in a pretty clear and decisive victory for Garcia being overturned. The Tank situation speaks a lot to the promotional element and, handling every aspect from the refereeing to the judges. And so, without getting too into the weeds about your opinion, from a fan's perspective, from the media's perspective, we saw him take a knee. And under basically every rule book, that's a point deduction.
Yeah,
So what do
it's
we make of
sad.
that?
It's sad because this was something that he earned. Look, going into it, the odds are against you. You're fighting the Tank. He's a knockout. He's going to knock you out. You got to try to block that out and focus. And then you go in and perform. And fighters know when the bell rings, a fighter knows when he lost and a fighter knows when he won. And I think we both sides felt what they were supposed to feel. And then to
Wow.
have somebody else take it away, that's sad because all the sacrifices, everything they go through, camps, leaving their family, and tuning out all the negative, focusing on positive, and then to have it taken away, it is sad. This was big opportunity for us in the world of boxing to do a right, to have a wrong and make it a right. And that would have really, I really believe that would have helped strengthen the sport to the new fans. Because let's just say you had a group of new fans tuning into this fight. They know what they see, but they're told that's not what they saw. On the contrary, this is what you saw by the experts. That hurts our sport because you lose fans that way, thinking it's corrupt, it's fixed, that's it. Look, I was in the promotional business. It's not corrupt. It's not fixed. It's sometimes we get it wrong. We're not perfect. It's okay to
Right.
get it wrong. But in this particular case, he had a very bad night. He didn't call a knockdown, but wait a minute. He saw the knockdown. He saw the knee because why did you start a count? If,
That's
if
the
you
issue.
didn't see a knee, if you didn't see a knockdown, why did you start a count? Second, Tank turns his back. When Roberto Duran, the great Roberto Duran, turns his back, it's called no mas. What's the difference? Then you got a cornerman that comes in the middle of the round to wipe his face. We've seen that several times. But Lucho Morales, his cornerman came in because he thought he heard the bell and he was disqualified. So you had several opportunities of taking a point, of doing the DQ, of calling in a knockdown, and you do none of them. I just say this, and think of it. If Lamont does one of them, not three total, but just one of them, he gets DQ'd, he gets TKO'd, or he gets the knockdown called against him. So you're already going in an uphill battle to make even more things worse. Now, the worst thing is the decision was there to be overturned and make a wrong right, okay? Again, this would have been much bigger than Lamont giving the belt, giving the win,
Yes.
Tank losing his undefeated. This would have been for the integrity and the good
Of the sport.
so at this point, it is what it is. We were expecting the best, but not holding our breath. They did admit that it was a knockdown. However, it was going to be very hard if they ruled it after. We don't know how Tank would have reacted if he would have come out more aggressive, trying to look for the knockout and change the outcome. I think now the only way to figure out and fix it is run it back, and that's what Lamont wants.
Awesome. And it's such a good conclusion for our